Hi, my name is Rene Martinez. I've been known as Guitar Tech Extraordinaire, Tech to the Stars. Have tools, will travel. I literally packed up my bags and packed up all my tools and put them in a work box and went out to go to work on the road. And lo and behold, all Stevie had for me to do was to change the strings, keep them set up, and tune the guitar. I never had to go out and give him the guitar on stage, change the guitar on stage. I never had to set up any amplifiers or any cables to wire the amplifiers or pedals or anything like that. He told me, you're not going to do any of that. He says, all I want you to do is just to maintain my guitars. And I said, well, I got to do something. He says, no, that's what I want you to do. He says, your hands are too valuable. He says, you play. He says, you're one of my favorite guitar players, and that's all you're going to do. So I had to learn how to become a roadie, and I didn't know how to do that. And today I finally figured it out. After 35 years on the road, I finally figured out how to be a roadie. But at that time, all I knew was that he didn't want me to use my hands and not to set up his equipment, and all he wanted me to do was set up his guitars and tune them and maintain them, and that was it. I just thought that was just too sweet of a job to have, you know. I did not just like what I was doing. I was more like on a quest of, I get to hear my guitars, how they react after the fact that I've set them up and given them to him. And he was such a great guitar player, and he also could do some other things to the guitar to abuse the guitar that I had to keep up on top of and fix, that my job was never ending. But it wasn't a negatory. It was never a negatory working for Stevie Ray Vaughan. It was always a real joy to do that. We'd also become real good friends. We did a lot of things together that I guess just normal friends do. I just thought that my job was my job. I'd get to know Stevie a little bit. He would get to know me a little bit. We'd hang out maybe, you know. He hung out more with the band, and I hung out more with the crew. That I thought that's just the way he was going to be. But no, it was more than that. He and I turned out to be real close friends. We did a lot of things together. We had a lot of moments that we shared together. And there was a time when I remember he would take his guitar, and toward the end of the show, he would take this guitar and he would grab it by the tremolo arm and set it down on the ground. And he would sort of like walk it across the stage or something. He also would stand on the body of the guitar with his shoes, and he'd bend over and he'd grab the headstock and he would pull up on it and just do all kinds of weird things with it, you know. And I would just think, man, what am I have to do tomorrow to fix this thing? He would break tremolo arms all the time. I had to dig them out and replace them, and sometimes during the show I would have to do this, and it was never-ending thing, you know. He would break strings all the time. It was just a guy that needed a guitar tech real bad. But I was more than just that. I was a true repairman for him, because that's what he needed. He needed somebody at his caliber of a guitar playing. He needed a guy that could take care of guitars just with that caliber. It was 1985 when I joined up with Stevie, and we had a chance to go to Europe, and we were in Italy doing some shows, and we just so happened to be in Italy on a Sunday, where there's nothing open in Europe on Sundays. They take a true Sunday off. And he had broken a tremolo arm on his main guitar. We called it number 1. And I had the tremolo with me, but I had to find a store. I had to find another tremolo arm. And I couldn't find one, or begin to try to find one, because there was no stores open at all. So I was in a bit of a dilemma. What am I going to do here? I've got 6 guitars, and he's got one with his main guitar with no tremolo arm on it. And I thought, well, I'll just have to take another tremolo arm off another guitar and just swap them. But sometimes he would ask for a guitar because he wants that particular guitar. And if that happened, then that tremolo arm wouldn't be on that guitar. I'd have to take one off and put it on, and it would hold up the show. So I still had the dilemma, and I had this tremolo arm in my hand, and I kept thinking, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I was twirling it around. And as I was twirling it around, I looked at the a little plastic piece that's the end of the tremolo arm. The other end goes down into the body, and then the other part that you push up and down with had this long plastic piece on it, and it was just a button, if you want to call it. And so I looked at that, and then I turned it, and of course there was a screw thing on it, and I took it off, and this thing had a little screw on this end of the tremolo arm. And I looked at that screw and I thought, well, that screw thread there looks like it'll fit inside this tremolo body. So I put it in, and lo and behold, it went right in. And I thought, well, there's my tremolo arm. And this tremolo arm happened to be made out of stainless steel, because some of them weren't. They're made of die cast, and they would just break. But stainless steel is bendable. So I was able to put this in, and it worked. So I took it out, and I got some pliers, and I straightened it out, and then I stuck it back in, screwed it back in, and then I bent it to the right angle and used it, and it worked. And then I stuck the plastic part onto the other end where it was broken off, and it was a little bit shorter, but it worked. So when he came in for sound check, I told him what I did, and all he could do was just give me a hug and goes, "Man, you can come up with anything." And I thought, no, it's just a stroke of luck. And it was things like that that kept our friendship together and our bondship together in working with guitars, and it made me think I could do stuff that I never even thought I could do on the road, you know. And one of the things I learned from that was never go without spares. So I always made sure I had spares, and that was the quest of learning how to be a roadie.